Okay. Hello there. I'm RG from RG Studios. This is RG's promo con number 10. Yes. It's been a minute. I don't do this every week or every month. I store up enough information, collecting material to bring you something interesting, hopefully, as I do stuff here at the studio, not to mention other things, working on my project, stuff like that. As you may know, some of you, I have finished the film Garden of Heathens 3, Shape of Events to Come. And it took about a year, so whatever, maybe a year and a half, I don't know. And in the meantime, I was also working on the Murderer uh, internet art film. Both of these films kind of intertwined together, working on this one, working on that one. And I had decided once I was done, I was going to take a break. The only thing I'm going to work on, I mean, a long break. The only thing I'm going to work on is my web series stuff on YouTube. One of them is The Hardliner. I like this web series. I just filmed some scenes with an interesting actress the other night, and she's going to be featured in episode 4 and 5. She asked me, she liked the acting, pretending, whatever you want to call it. He said something in the effect of, you're not gonna just kill me off in the series, are you? I said, no, it's like the hardliner episodes are like soap opera. They just continue to go, and they really are based around the characters of the villains for the hardliner. It's not so much about the hardliner cop and his partner Harry. It's about the villains and their attitude, their behavior. Is all really about. It's a backstories of them and how they come about. And the hardliner is basically put in between, sandwiched in between the stories to keep it moving forward and so forth. But anyway, I told her, no, we're more likely you're gonna be in some more episodes. You just won't be in it every week or every month that I do it. But your character, Bella Doom Trigger, is her character. So look forward to watching the Hardliner episode 4. It will be coming out on my YouTube channel rather soon. I also filmed some stuff for the Omega Man episode 17. And I'm not finished with filming them, but I filmed some of it the other day, and I had got my brother to be the cameraman to do some scenes, shots. And speaking of that, I am a very much a filmmaker advocate of getting it in the can if you can get it right then, one shot scenario. I know a lot of films do the grease monkey production work, which is go fix it in production, in post production, fix it in post production, fix it in post production. These things can be kind of, it depends. But I think you strengthen yourself as a filmmaker if you can get it right there on the shot, on the set, on location, whatever. You can always fix things in post, but that drives up your production costs or your production time, whichever one, probably both. If you strengthen your skills and getting things in the shot, once you got it, all you got to go back and do is cut it. You don't have to do anything else. And we did a little bit of some things that we got right in the shot, and that's what I was working on the Omega Man, getting things in the shot. Not so much green screen and fixing it in post. I call it grease monkey work. Post production is grease monkey work. Fix it in post. Fix it in post. Just throw it on over there. We'll fix it. You bring that trash in and we'll fix it. I've been doing it for years. Bringing my trash in, fixing it in post. Oh, I got that. We got it. It's just we'll fix it in post. It's always there. It's fun. At the same time, it makes you a mechanic in the post production film business. You can fix anything in post. You ask a good filmmaker, pretty much you can fix anything in post. You just got to bring me something, and I'll see what I can do. That sort of thing. Promo content. We're here today, and I'm enjoying myself. I'm off work. I'm enjoying myself, and we're going to get on to the things of what makes PromoCon interesting. Film and cinema, the internet art film, and the mythologies. I just did my fundraiser the other day, and the fundraiser was pretty good. You know, we didn't get the overwhelming crowd we got last year, but you never can judge crowds. You just have to go with the flow. Um, we have some more stuff left over, a lot more than we did last time. I'm just going to go ahead and pass those out as DVD. Since all of them got DVDs to them anyway, as DVD uh, stuff from the studio through the rest of the month, and start putting together the ideas for next year's uh, fundraiser. But it was okay. It wasn't too bad. Collected little funds, talked to some people. It was a longer moment because people were on a slower run this year than it was last year. It was like every few minutes there was people coming like that there. This year was like, so. And the fun, and now I did a little fundraiser on my YouTube stuff. You can go and check it out, and I will tell you right now. If you're watching this right now, you can get you a comic book. I'm giving away comic books as long as you go to my Patreon account and you log in, get on the search engine, look up RG Studios, and you can get you and you put down anything. Just become a patron. $5, $10, $20. You can get this right here. This is a CGC 8.5 Doom Patrol. You can get it right now on this show. You see it on this show, go to Patreon. Search engine, RG Studios. Become a patron for $5 a month. You ain't got to stay for 23 years. Just hang in for a few months. I'll send it to you. I sure will. Doom Patrol. You can get that right now. You are a collector. You want to fight for it on eBay? Then you don't put nothing in the Patreon account, and this will go on eBay, and people will bid on it. It'll be gone. But if you want to stop all of that and get it right now, be a patron for RG Studios. Yes, sir. I got more stuff that you can get today, and I'll get to it. It's no rush. This is a RG promo content. I really want to talk about my new latest film, internet art film, The Garden of Heathens 3, Shape of Events to Come. This is a film that I've been wanting to do this since 1987, 86. I had this idea because I have studied the UFO phenomenon at that time, for a great deal of time, but it has been over 25 years now or longer. And I wanted to put together a film of, it was kind of on the tender lines of, there's this guy who knew something, and there's this secret organization, preferably the government, that don't want him to know. And this film here had brought that about. Of course, it was the first film was just the Garden of Heathens. You met Major Bargoon and General Campbell. These two characters were apparatus of the government. Wanted to keep the secret. Don't want you to know. I will read you what this says here. In 1947, the government got their hands on an extraterrestrial flying craft. From there, they knew the future we were heading towards. And that has become this right here. It's an interesting film. Now, mind you, My production values ain't Hollywood. This is Midwest Hollywood. So you probably, if you're looking for that type of entertainment and you're looking for that type of budget, then I suggest you leave this alone. You're gonna be upset because you're gonna say, this ranks right underneath that Planet Nine from outer space shit. You know. Now, grant you, that was one of those films that they said was the worst movie in the world. And I tend to agree with it. But here's one thing I found out: if you take away trying to look at it as a movie, uh, Planet Nine from Outer Space, with Mr. Ed Wood's film, and you back away from it and you look at it as a sociological film, you're gonna realize he was actually trying to say something. He really was. In 1950s, mid 50s, he was telling you a great deal more than any of the government officials ever telling you. You got to take away from it. I'm not going to give you a whole bunch of a way to look at it because I looked at it. I have looked at it 3 times. The first 2 times I was vomit. But when I looked at it the third time, a friend of mine had said to me, look at it without trying to look at it as a movie. And I'm a filmmaker, and I know what that means. You have to go ahead and say, okay, I'm going to give this another look at perspective. And that's what I saw. I had to even agree that he had something there. He was saying something. I know that right. I know that's right, Tyler. You look at that film, and you say to yourself, I mean, even the dialogue is emanating from something. And since I have studied this field for a long time, without that study, I wouldn't have been able to give this perspective another look. And I said, oh my God, he actually had read a great deal of stuff. Plus, I believe it was said to me, this man knew some people in the military. He's like, oh boy. His expressions were riveting. I'm going to put it that way. You can't look at it as a blockbuster production nor a horror movie. You can't look at it like that. The dead people that in the movie, that this thing that he was basically putting up as a concept, the aliens said we've been trying to reach them and talk to them. We'll talk to the dead people, and they're raising the dead. That's not the perspective. The dead people he was speaking of was the human race as a whole. We're dead up here. We can't be reasoned with. Eisenhower had meeting with the aliens. Oh, well, hello, Tyler. Hello, Chloe. Glad you guys are watching. But I'll get back to what I was saying. Eisenhower had a meeting with the aliens, at least one group that I have come across in my studies. And the meeting turned out pretty much not good in the aliens' perspective. They couldn't talk to us. So the dead people in the Planet Nine from outer space we'll try to talk to the other human beings out because the government officials don't want to acknowledge that that we are there. So now when I first looked at the first 2 times looking at this movie, I'm trying to look at it as a horror movie, and he's like, I'm like, this movie ain't worth diddly squat. The third time, the perspective was very clear. And that's kind of the thing about my Garden of Heathens 3. I use all types of special effects and stuff like that to convey a storyline message. You know, it's not traditional when it comes to Hollywood. But when you're in Midwest Hollywood, you do what you got to do, and you get the message out there. And this right here is an interesting film. I would recommend watching the first Garden of Heathens, not so much the second one, but then come and look at the third one, and you go, oh man. Now your beliefs on what you want to believe in and what you know, I admit I can't change your beliefs, but I do want to say this. I want to give you a perspective, a seed of perhaps there's something to this. I'm not saying what I put in our film is true to every step of the way. I can't even guarantee that myself. It makes me I probably leave you with more questions than answers. But I try to answer the things that I have brought about in the last two films. You know, the government secret, the hybrids, human hybrids. In my studies, there were some human hybrids that the aliens were taking egg seeds from the women, human women, and sperm cells from the humans, and then combining them with alien genetics. Some twisty stuff going on. I swear to God. Some of this stuff is hard to fathom, much less understand. You know, one of those things we like to ask ourselves is, will the government keep this a secret? And my answer to that is, yeah, hell yeah, they're gonna keep it a secret. They ain't never gonna tell us the truth. They have no plans on telling us the truth. Now that's my study of it. Now maybe you know something that I don't know, but they are never going to tell us what's up. And I don't think they ever want to. Uh, if it's what I believe it is, according to how I've studied it, they're not going to do it. They're not going to tell us the truth, because some of us can't take it, and it's just too hard for us to wrap our heads around. I just remember when I first come across a lot of this information, and it was hard for me to wrap my head around it. It's like, what's going on? The cattle mutilations, the human mutilations. I couldn't understand I didn't even begin to fathom the genetic engineering that was going on behind the scenes. I'm like, oh man. Now I'm like, whoo, dude. My answer is no. They're never going to tell us. Don't expect them to have what they call a disclosure. Those people who are hampering for disclosure. We need a disclosure from the guy. It ain't never coming. You know, down with reptilian. I know that's right. Yeah, there's some Dracos, reptilians. Yes, yes. I mean, here's something I want you to fathom and just to tinker in your mind, and you can see it for yourself. You ain't got to believe anything I tell you. When Mr. Trump acknowledged that we got a space force and they had the logo of the space force behind him, there are three constellations up there. One of them is the Dracos. It's plain as day. And the other one is the Pleiadians. Plain as day. If you don't believe me, go back and rewind the video. It was on national TV. No one really thought about it because how many people study the constellations? I do. If you look up there, you'll say, that's the Draco's constellation. And that's the Pleiadian constellation. And the other one is the Orion constellation. Oh my goodness. This is called, in the book that I've read, that is the new treaty that has been brought about because of the technology that has been sift from the Greys. We had a treaty with the Greys. We no longer have one with them. We have a treaty with the Orion and the Pleiadians, and the Dracos and the Greys are left out of the equation. And I mean, that's where we at. I mean, some of us, got the information. Some of us don't. When I saw that, I pretty much said, okay, there is a space force. Because the book I was reading was claiming that Space Force has actually been in existence the last 25 years. And the Trump had nothing to do with bringing it out like he just created it today. He was acknowledging it for the public to consume it as information because our technology has grown and the military has a lot of stuff they want to show the public, but they're not going to come out with a disclosure and say, yeah, we acknowledge that we've been aware of 9 alien species for the last 50 years. They're not going to do that. You, you'll be waiting until your grave day before that happens. They'll tell you a little bit of stuff, like they did the Space Force. Oh, we got a Space Force. We are not even aware that we even traveled past the moon. Now, how the hell we got a Space Force? I mean, you can believe as much as you want. You could do that, but I would suggest do a little studying first, and then see the signs that these people have put out there for you to consume. What is really being told to what end? Yeah, that's a question that my film tries to answer too. What is really being told to what end? The Eisenhower scenario is one of them, dealing with the military-industrial complex, and that is because the information that's coming out of there, out of the back engineering, is going right into the military-industrial complex. Hello, Marsha. How you doing? Excuse me. The technology. One of the books I read back in the day, which was like 1998. It was from, I think his name was Colonel Crusoe. I can't remember but the book was called Day After Roswell. It concerned getting the technology that they could back engineer into the hands of industries like IBM, um, Apple, uh, all these the tech industries, to build them up, to bring them up to speed. Here's one of the things that MacArthur said that you can research in one of his last meetings. He said we're going to have to deal with this interplanetary um, a threat at some time. Maybe not today and right now, but as one point we're going to have to deal with it. This comes from out of my, and I got that speech in in my film, uh, The Garden of Heathens, Shape of Events to Come. It's a surprise ending speech from General MacArthur. You're only hearing a snippet of it. It's a long one, and I couldn't put the whole speech in there because it's longer than my movie. But the part that I put in there dealt with, like, oh boy, he was talking to some cadets. He was about 80 something years old at the time. But you can better believe MacArthur had talked to the brass behind the scenes, and he was well aware of the alien presence. And that's what they call it. They don't call it UFO, none of that shit that we call today. Oh, the UFO flying saucers. They don't. The military don't talk like that. They talk like flying discs, alien presence. You know why they say alien presence? Because goddamn it, it's there. They're not. And that's the thing about um, the Mr. Woods movie that I did not recognize until I looked at it for the third time. His military brass in that movie talked just like that. They said one of them had a conversation to the other one. It was kind of more like, "Do you believe? Did you see it? And if you did see it, you know you'll be court-martialed." That's the thing. And the military guy said, "Yeah, I saw it," just like that. So the military is real honest with themselves right from the start. They don't play the crazy man. Oh, you're crazy. You don't say fine. Now they might do that for the press. Behind the scenes, just pretty much. Yeah, I know what I saw. Yeah, I know what I'm looking at. That's a flying disc, you know. And they're really not. They're really not like round like we want to make believe. Some of them are cigar shaped, and some of them are shaped like a bat wing. That's how Kenneth Arnold. That's what he saw back in the day, 1930s. They're bat wing, and I saw a clip of those bat wing shaped crabs, and I remember seeing those on YouTube, and I should have clipped it and put it up there, and there were like five of them, and they were going like this here. They were flying like this here, like that there, going. And I'm like, wow, that's crazy. I don't know how these gravity, anti-gravity devices mimic flight in a way that is just, we can't wrap our heads around. You know, but just one of those things that we're fascinated by. At least I am. What other things I got here about the Garden of Heathens and the military stuff and the questions? Is our history really complete, or is it a lie? That's one of the things that I have found very fascinating too. Our history isn't what we thought it was or what we think it is. Of course, it is wrote because of the people who win. They write the history, but I'm not really talking like that there. When it concerns the alien presence, what is our history for real? You know, we have to consider that these creatures got the ability to warp time, to bend it. Traveling from to the nearest constellation takes in light speed takes 100,000 years. Even they would die within the constructs of this travel, so they would never make it to, let's say, if they're at the other end of the 100,000 light year scenario, they can never make it here. So how do they do it? They bend and warp time. So that means that they can pop, more than likely. Is are their devices a time traveling device? I discussed that in the film, The Garden of Heaven, Shape of Events to Come. I'm not going to give you all the constructs of this film on this PromoCom day. We got a lot of things to talk about, but you can go get this DVD at Mars Mart and the liquor store called KJ's. And you can also see this on my YouTube right now. Shape of Events to Come. That is a fascinating internet art film. It is the end of me talking about the UFO phenomena. I will not make another one. So enjoy this one to its breadth of conclusions. I give you all the information that I can. I answer all the questions that are brought up in the first two films. If you didn't see the first two films, you really don't have to watch them, but I do recommend watching the first one. Then you can pass on the second one. And you'll say, you know what? If you have any tether of interest in the UFO phenomenon, whether you believe it or not, it really doesn't matter. If you're fascinated by the entertainment of it, you will enjoy this internet art film. I'm not trying to shake you like a looks like the light is kind of dimming. Let me get some more light on us here. Yeah, there we go. I'm not trying to shake you because of the with the coming aliens coming and all of that kind of thing. I just like to put an interesting internet art film together. I have studied this stuff, and I thought it would make a great subject matter for a film years ago, and I finally did it. And I won't be making any more of them, but Mike Miller is watching. Mr. Mike! All right, I'm glad that you're watching. I won't be making any more internet art films about UFO stuff, or aliens or any of that nature. I've covered it as much as I can and as fascinating as I can. And I'm pretty much full 360 circle on it. But the last one here, I enjoyed putting it together. I answered all my questions that I brought up, and so forth and so on. So go check it out on YouTube and give me your opinion about it. Like I said, you don't have to believe it. That's not what I'm trying to get you to do. I'm just trying to bring up a subject matter that's fascinating. And what is there? Let's see what else I got here. I said, is there other life in the cosmos? So that's kind of a benign question there, but I get that from time to time. I have to ask myself, think of it this way. Our galaxy has, and this is just a broad number, thousands, perhaps hundreds of thousands of stars. A star is a sun, we wake up every morning. So we got 100,000 of them in our own galaxy, and there are 100,000 galaxies in in the cosmos itself. 100,000 galaxies, and within the galaxies there are 100,000 suns. So the numbers just multiply and multiply. We'd be able to think that all of that, and we're the only ones here. I'm not saying that they've come here. That's irrelevant. To think we are the only ones in this vast perspective. So, it's complex, but it's the answer is more than likely we're here. So more than likely, we have to think of it in this terms too. Let's not think of other species. I think of human beings. You think we're the only human beings out of a number of 100,000? Well, we better go to Star Trek and watch it a little bit when they went on a 5-year mission mission seeking out other life forms, and within 5 years they come across in the movie, in the TV series, they come across a whole bunch of human beings. 100,000. I would imagine there's a many human beings like us within 100,000 planets, 100,000 solar system, 100,000 galaxies. I would quite say, yeah, there's more than likely at least a few of us on another one somewhere. We may never meet them, but they're there. So that's what that is. We would it probably doesn't answer too many people's questions, but it really doesn't matter. You know, it's like one astronaut says, they haven't got here yet. That's true. That's the reason why we ain't seen them. They ain't got here yet. It takes 100,000 years to travel from here to the nearest solar, the star. So they ain't got here yet. And when they did, they'll probably be dead too. When they do get here. Because if they're traveling light years, a light speed, it still takes 100,000 years. You got to do some warping, buddy. That's the only way you got to get to one that far. Anyway, this is RG Studios ProMO Con 10. I'm talking about my internet art films, film and cinema, comic book stuff, and anything I want to discuss. And if you go to my Patreon and become a patron, $5, $10, $3 a month, I will send you this right here. If you send me become a patron, send me your address, I will send you this Doom Patrol. This is a CGC 8.5. But this on the Richter scale of money will go over $900, perhaps $1,000. You can look it up and you can go check it out and see what one of these like here would be running you, and you can get it for becoming a Patreon of RG Studios. I will show you another one while we're on the topic. Put this at the bottom. Become a Patreon today. Go to Patreon. Log in on their account there and put in RG Studios, and I will send you, and you become a Patreon. I'll send you this one here, Conan. This one here is a 9.0. That's a high number on the Richter scale of comic books in a slab, a CGC. If you want to get this, if you're a collector and you want to get something for little, become a patron on RG Studios. Go to the Patreon account, the Patreon. Log in on their deal, looking for RG Studios, and put in that and become an RG Studios Patreon. I'll send you this right here. This is Conan the Barbarian, number 45. And you can get that and put it in your collection. Becoming a Patreon of RG Studios. Also got some other books here. Tomb of Dracula, 35. I will send this to you if you prefer this one. If you become a patron on RG Studios. Now, film and cinema. I noticed since streaming is coming to bear, I've talked about this more than once, about production costs. I believe a lot of the productions on stuff is going to drop. It's going to be it's a tricky thing to make your money back on streaming if you're in the business on that end. Of course, I am not, but I do watch the trades and stuff like that of film and cinema, and how, as you can see, Warner Brothers is backing away. They canceled Batgirl. They spent $100 million, damn near $100 million. I think they said $90 million to be sure. But I'm gonna put it at $100 million. Once you get done with all the little pennies they scrape, that movie cost quite a bit. But they were gonna put it on streaming. Now you're not gonna make any money right away on streaming. Now down the line, you got advertisement, you got stuff like that, and that movie was headed down the tubes. Of course, that was the other regime that was in the DC films, and Zagloff is I think that's his name, David, the new guy who's running Warner Brothers Discovery, has decided to do something different. He went in there with a sharp axe, cutting up a whole bunch of stuff. It's out the door now. Getting rid of Batgirl and some other stuff, Scooby Dooby Doo, animation stuff. I don't know why they did that. That was strictly for streaming. It was a Christmas thing anyway, or a Halloween deal. But anyway, he's getting rid of this stuff. Now, this kind of stuff is putting a mark or a spotlight on budgets, film budgets. If that was going to go to streaming, you're spending that kind of money for streaming, why? You know, obviously they're going to write that stuff off now. Warner Brothers is going to write it off. I mean, anybody can see that. That's a tax write-off. But the films must not be worthy to put on streaming. If they're gonna make their money, if they're gonna make their money back on the tax end, they certainly are not worthy for streaming. So budgets are going to go down, whether filmmakers know it or not. They're going to go down, and declining mid budgets. I'm not talking about the big blockbusters. They're probably going to be whatever, but the declining mid budget films are going to start to level off. I'm figuring you're spending about 40 to 50 million for a mid budget film. That's going to drop probably around 25 to 35 million. I can see that coming. Actors, people who make movies in the production, better watch out. That's going to come. You know, like anything, once the money starts to dry up, there's more to expect from the ones that are still working in whatever they're working. I want to say craft, but it doesn't matter what what you're involved in. When the money starts to dry up, more expectations from where the money is going and what it's going to produce is going to be expected. And I see that coming in the film and cinema realm, and I saw that with the cancellation of Batgirl. My opinion, I don't know why they were doing that Batgirl anyway. They were taking a perspective that was made recently. I mean, Batgirl, if you take it all the way back to the beginning, which I wouldn't recommend doing it that way, but if you take it all the way back to the beginning to, let's say, 1980s, Batgirl's history isn't that popular with the populace. She's only as good as Rob hanging around Robin and Batman. And Robin, I mean, being with Batman for a lot longer, doesn't have it enough to have his own series either. So to give Batgirl her own series, like, is that really gonna make any headway? Maybe. Well, I could be wrong, but I didn't see it doing that great anyway. And spending almost $100 million, you might as well make that a theatrical film. Get your money back. What I would have done, I would have went, oh, I don't know if you want to push that out there if it's that terrible. That would have been a laughing film. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I didn't see the movie, so I really don't know what Mr. David was looking at. I really don't know. Anyway, moving on. Okay, I got I'm going to talk about my web series stuff. I'm taking a long break, so I'm going to be, from my the internet art film work that I normally do is takes me probably 5 months up to a year, perhaps a year and a half to create a 45-minute internet art film. I'm backing away from that for a while. I'm going to be on a long hiatus. And the only thing I'm going to work on is my web series stuff. And in the pipeline and working is Hardliner, the old Mega Man. And then I got a new one I'm coming out with called Twisted Worlds. It's kind of a quasi mix of different characters of the internet mythology, and I'm putting it in that realm of the Twilight Zone. You can see a trailer promo cut on my YouTube right now. If you go to that, you can check it out. It's interesting. I got two scripts already done. I'm working on a third. I'm gonna try to put together, or I'm going to put together at least three of them before I release the first one. And that way you get, oh, and I can release one, and then maybe 2 months later release another one, and then a month and a half later release the third one, and then go to work on three more scripts. And that's the way I'm going to do it. Now, of course, this is going to take a great deal of time. I'm not in no big hurry. I was going to try to have one done for the summer, but I just got two scripts done already. I'm still, I think I say two or three. I just got the scripts done, and I'm going to be working on finishing up the script work on this last one, this latest one I'm doing, and then I will begin the production work on it. You know, I don't want to do a whole lot of filmmaking. I just want to do little bits and pieces, tighten up on my screenwriting, tighten up on my production stuff. As I was saying earlier, on the Omega Man, I'm tightening up on just doing stuff in the can. I'm trying to back away from a lot of green screen and what I call grease monkey work, post production. I'm trying to back away from bringing everything back to the studio and then do a lot of work there. I'm just going to do it in the can. That's my objective. But when you're doing a 5 minute, 3 to 5 minute short pieces, it's a little bit easier to do stuff. You know, you bring up your technical specs and you just do it right then. Bam, in the can. Come back and you cut it. You ain't got to do any grease monkey post production work. Not to say that I don't wanna, or I hate that, or negatively have thoughts about it. I'm tightening up on my getting it in the can, right there, because I haven't did that in a long time. And I've been doing a lot of grease monkey production work. I bring my trash in, just I'll fix it, 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 I'll fix it. And I've been doing it like that. I'm sure a lot of filmmakers today are doing it right now. Fix it in post production. Fix it in post production. That's grease monkey work. I'm not saying you shouldn't do it, but you can get lost in that world. I've been lost in it for many years now, fixing it post production. And I'm pretty good at fixing stuff in post production. Now I'm putting a forth effort to tighten up on my specs, get it in the can. Whatever way we can get it in the can, let's just do it that way. That's tightening up on my filmmaking expertise. If I were to go out there and do something big, I would know how to do it in the can. It's just spend a whole bunch of goddamn money. So tightening up in the can and right there on the set, on the spot, tighten my work. So there's less grease monkey post production work going on. I can still do. I can do the grease monkey post production work. I know I can. Been done it for over 15 years. I need to start doing stuff in the can. And that's what we're doing with the Omega Man. The Omega Man. I I started this series almost probably 2 years ago. We're on number 17. If you haven't seen an episode, go back to probably at least the 6, maybe even 5, and check out where the Omega Man is going and what's happening. I'm not going to give you any sincere story links on this one here. You're just going to have to check it out. And I'm going to tell you, number 17 is interesting. We're going on a journey now. And he has met a scientist called Jordan. And they're going on a journey. And it's going to be interesting. That's what I can tell you. Now, if you like I said, if you like comic books, and you want to get some for the very little cost of nothing, go to the Patreon. Put in their search engine, RG Studios. Become a patron for $5 a month. And give me your address, and I'll send you free comic books. I sure will. I will send you. I have, from time to time, free comic books, and this one I got in my hand is one I'm going to give to a Patreon. That's where it's going. I've been advertising this on my fundraiser that happened, last week sometime. And you can get this. You can also, this is Adventure Comics, Superboy. What's this number here? 263. Yes. And you can get the Tomb of Dracula, number 35. Now, if you like new artist stuff, you can get something from Ellis. I got one of his albums here called I Wonder, and there's a poster of one of his latest albums called Space in here. And I got some material from RG Studios, and you can get this. I will send this to you if you like it. And remember, Conan the Barbarian. This is a 9.0, number 45. If you're a comic collector and you like comics to come to you, basically almost for free, go to Patreon. Go to the search engine. Put in RG Studios. Become a patron. For $5 a month, I'll send you free comic books. Like this here. Slabs. When I get them, and I think you might like them, give me an address, I will send them to you. Okay. And I also got the Doom Patrol. Let me show you this slab here. You can get this one, or you can get them all. It doesn't matter to me. You tell me what you want, you got it. If you've seen it on this show, you just say so. I'll send you one of them, two of them, all of them. This is an 8.5 CGC Doom Patrol, number 113. I don't think I mentioned that earlier, but I'm mentioning it now. And I will send you this. You've seen it on this show. That means it's still available. You can get it. Become a patron. I was advertising this a week ago, and believe it or not, nobody wants them right now. If you're a collector, you want to get your hands on one, two, or the whole bag of them, I'll send it to you. You don't believe me? Become a patron. Put in the search engine. RG Studios. It's coming to you. I promise you. See, I'm trying to put my hypnosis magic on you. That's what I'm trying to do. When I do my eyes like that, go to the Patreon. Become a patron. And voila, you will get the comic books. I like doing stuff like that. It's just silly. But if you like comic books, and I do, you can get these here for free. Become a patron. I will send you stuff. And I get boxes of comic books on a regular basis. And when I see something that I think my comic collectors will like, I'll send it to them. You know, if you're a patron, I'll send it to you. And you can, if you don't even like them, you can give them to somebody else. It don't matter. But you have what you call a tether to books, you know. And I get stuff, like I said, I bid on other stuff on auction houses, and sometimes they send you stuff. I mean, when you get a box stuff that they don't describe the whole contents of it, you look in there, you go, ooh. Or sometimes you go, maybe somebody else will like it. You pass it on. And that's what happens. You cut my air back on, it might impede the sound a little, but it's getting a little hot in here. So, but it feels good now. Now, oh yeah, let me show you something else before I close the show. What kind of time we got here? Looks like I've been on here about an hour. Now, I'm going back to making my own. I have made my own comic book since the mid '80s. I'm gonna go back to making comic books again because I like to draw. That's my first love. That's my first love to visualize things that I have in my head story-wise. But anyway, I put together these characters, this comic book stuff while I was in prison, and I come out and I continued it. It's called The World of Plato. I am going to start putting together again the second volume of The World of Plato. And I've done like several of these comic books. I think I went up to about 6 or 7 issues of the world of Plato. I'm not quite sure, but the volume of the material comes from the first manuscript, which is this right here. That's why that's where my comic book come from. I put them together, put a few pages together, and we create the comic books like this here, The World of Plato, which is the same thing from the manuscript, and just put together. It's like a soap opera. I'm going to do a second volume, while I'm in my resting mode for a couple of years. I'm going to start working on my web series, uh, the Hardliner, the Omega Man, and then I'll be doing my World of Plato, and I'll be giving these away at Mars Mart, KJ's Liquor Store. And if you go to RG Studios on Patreon, put in their search engine, RG Studios, and become a patron, and give me your address, and you'll get one of these. Every time I get a new issue, I'll send you a new issue of the World of Plato, plus old issues that's already here. I'll send it to you. I got them right here, sitting right here, a bunch of them. Believe it or not, I used to sell these on auction on my eBay, and really people bidded on them and wanted them. It's just something to do. I wasn't trying to make a lot of money. I'm not going to sit and kid you. They didn't make that much money. I think it was like $1 or $2, but probably took that just to mail it off. But I just want people to have them. That's what they want to have and read some crazy stuff. Because these things are created in the contents of what's going on in the world, similar to the Omega Man, except I take tethers and pieces of stuff from the real world and create a soap opera around these 8 different types of characters in this world of Plato. I don't know if you can see this. Oh, this thing is coming apart. So old, it's falling apart. But put that there, put these back. Let me show you something real quick. These characters here, as you see on the front, I give them names, I give them personalities, and so forth and so on. In the manuscript, you get all the information about these characters, like this here. It tells you all about them if you're interested in just reading narratives about personalities. And then they're constructed into a story, a soap opera. Every day there's something going on in the world of Plato, and the characters, they evolve. Here's the great thing about it. I don't even know what these characters are going to do. I create these elements, and then I put them in there, and according to their personality, these elements play out. So that's how I get excited, wondering what is Thebes and Lord Yakko going to do when this element here is introduced into the world of Plato. That's how the stuff began when I was locked up. It took me 1 week to put together a page. One page, like this here, took 1 week, threw a couple of elements down, maybe one element. It didn't take that much. And then I'll draw the panels, and then it would begin a soap opera. Something would happen. Just like people. People conversate, next thing you know, things take place. And that's how it was generated like that. And that went on for 3 years, and I created, before I knew it, I had a manuscript of the World of Plato. I think it went up to how many pages here? It looks like, I don't have the number here, but it's like 30-something pages. I think the last page of this volume 1 went right here. It ended with the Congress people that I gave them a name. I forgot. I think I just showed you that. They peeled through it real quick. Let me see here. Well, I'm gonna have to put it here. There's like 8 guys that's like a Congress and Senate in the world of Plato, and it ended with one of them trying to become the president of World of Plato. How that storyline element began, I don't even know. I would have to go over and read it myself. But it began with him trying to make a bid for Congress, and so far his personality is he's a crook, straight out. He's a straight crook. But anyway, the whole thing is you can get you a World of Plato comic book. If you like reading soap opera type style comic books, not superheroes or anything like that, I don't want to do nothing like that. I get enough looking at that on TV. But it's just people, normal, characterized people you probably have seen somewhere in your life in the World of Plato constructed into a cartoon. And you can get that from RG Studios. You go to Patreon, go to their search engine, put in RG Studios. I'll send you this comic book. If you give me an address to send it to you, you'll get it every time I get a new one. I'll send you one because I'm starting a volume 2 while I'm in my rest mode for the next couple of years. I'm going to be in rest mode. Not doing any long internet art films. That takes over 5 months. So I'll be doing one-page comic strips, creating a comic book that's no more than probably 4 or 5 pages. And when they come out, I'll send it to you. Like this here, I think these pages are about 8 pages. I don't know. But remember now, it's going to be a new volume. And then I'll send you some old volume work, which is one of these comics that's already printed up and everything. And you can, if you never read any, they'll be new to you from RG Studios. I'm RG. This is ProMoCon 10. I'm going to get off here. Been on here for about an hour now. I think I covered everything I wanted. It's been nice. If you want something from RG Studios, be a patron. Go to RG Studios. From Patreon, put in their search engine. RG Studios. It takes you to my Patreon account. Join and be a patron. I'm okay. Thank you. I like to be an inspiration. You say, don't go? Okay. I'm requested to stay a little longer. We'll shake it up for a little while. Adios. Tyler says adios. And Joyce says she loves the jacket. Thank you. I like buying these things like this here. I don't dress up anymore, so I do it when I do a promo con. I buy these jackets and stuff off Amazon, and I said this looks good. I'm gonna showboat on my channel, because when I go outside, I'm just in my I'm just in my what you call them, long johns or whatever. I got black long johns on. I'm looking like a hobo when I'm outside. But in here at RG, when I'm at RG Studios, I dress up a little. This is the only time I dress up. I don't go out anymore. I don't go to clubs because they don't got enough liquor for me anyway. I'm an alcoholic. I like to drink a lot, so I had to stop that because you won't see me no more. Can't wait to read the comics. What about the hats? Oh, the hats in back. These are my filmmaker hats in back of me. In my few years ago, about let's say between 2010 2014, I wore these types of hats. Some of them are from the Western, like this one right here is from the Western Rio Comanche. The character, forgot the character's name, but anyway, I put it on. I like wearing hats. I really do. I don't wear them a lot now, but as you can see that that picture right there is from my time at decline that. That picture there is from Tallgrass. It's when I won an award. And you can see that award right there. That dog there, that action figure standing on that platform. I got that I was at Tallgrass, my film Double Digits that was created by the Hollywood producer Magma guy, Justin Johnson. He created a great film. It's really good. I was watching it again with my brother the other day. I like that movie. It spoke socially truthful about everything. He's a good filmmaker. He's got another one he's making about his family, The Nipple Factory. If I'm not mistaken of the title, that's what it's called. He's still in post production work on it, but it's coming out. Uh, but the hats, I got a bunch of them there. I got 5 right here, and I got about 4 more in my other room, just sitting on a counter. Can't wait. I was just about to ask about the figures. Yeah, thank you about the award. Yeah, I won that award again. The award from Tallgrass. Um, it's because of the way I make movies. I put action figures in it. Like again, I was speaking about uh, get making getting stuff in the can, shooting. I have developed a style over the years, and when Tallgrass saw my work, I was in the core of my style, and they loved the film The Shadow Peoples because I use action figures, of course, and everything, and they had created this award. Unfortunately, I couldn't be there for the presentation of the awards that day because my boss at that time wouldn't let me leave. I should have just quit and went anyway. But they held a little meeting for me later at another time to pick up the award, and that's it right there. Let me step over there. I'll step over there and get that. This award, of course, it didn't have this on there. This is how it was given to me, and it's like a representation of my style and everything, you know. And I love this award, you know. I love it. It was called the Golden Strands Vanguard Award, uh, and it was a lot of people at the theater at that time when my I had to send my brother as a representation for me because I couldn't be there, but there was a lot of people. They said, "Oh man, it was so crowded." Everybody thought that I was you. I said, "Well, you were in the film Double Digits too, so they recognized you, you know." And yes, I'm really proud of this award. It was specially created and first time they ever brought it into existence. And I was presented with this award. It was yeah, it was cool. I loved it. I collect hats like this, Indiana Jones hat style, cowboy hats. I got several of them. One on the wall here and a couple in the back room. Music. That's an interesting question, sir, Mr. Peace Museum. Interesting about my music in my films. And this is what I have chosen to do over the years. I tried to create music myself in the beginning. Some may know that my film creativity started in 1979, believe it or not. And in that beginning, the sound era came around 1985. My first film of sound was The Murder 3. And I had used music from the orchestrational score of The Spy Who Loved Me. I don't think nobody recognized it because it was one of those things, and it was shot on Super 8, for God's sakes. It was one of these cameras right here. And I had a projector that did, at that time, Super 8 just come out with dual track on the strip. Before then, it was only one. And you could get, if you were talented enough, you can create your own little mixing board and have at least 8 mixing sounds going in to 2 tracks, you know, bam. And I would use music from orchestrational music from, and I like orchestration from, and back then I went to the library, picked up their records, for God's sake, bring it home, put it on the deal, and then play it, and then turn on the recorder, and it's recording right off of the mechanism when you put your LP on. You know, that's how I did it back then. You know, now of course this has graduated today doing it. I buy my music off line. from I got like two different digital companies on softwares that I buy. One of them is called. Let me look at it right quick. Okay, I get my special effects stuff from this a website called Free Sound, and then I get my music from one website called Sound. Let me go back to this again. Let's see this. Check it out. Where's it at? Where's that name at? I want to get the name right. I don't see it. I buy their albums because they have like albums that they sell. Oh, royalty free music. Wouldn't have come up with that name to save my life. Royalty free music. And that explains a lot right there. I buy their LPs, their digital LPs off their website. One of them, I think I remember something like trailers and action compositions. A lot of the artists sell their work to these companies like that, and then you can buy it, like me, can buy it, and you can use it for. If I'm a nonprofit studio, there's two ways you can get it. If you're making money, then you pay an extra fee there, and you can use it to do a lot more than what I do. I'm doing it non-commercial, so I get it on a lesser price, and I'm only putting it on YouTube. I got royalty-free music, and I like orchestrational type music, so that's why I use it. I got two websites I buy it from: royalty-free music, and then there's another one that's like it's more like for it's got music, but it also has like sound effects and stuff like that. And okay, let me see. Let me read this here. Well, I'd love to be able to. Mr. Museum says, I would love to be able to make the music for you one day. I'm not a filmmaker, but your films really inspire the music. Well, that's great. You got a track or two? Run it by me through my Facebook. I got ways you can contact me through there, and you can send me a link through that. I'll give you my email, my personal email. You can send it to me through there. Yeah, you're welcome. I like to go into detail and depth about stuff that I do. People are interested. I like to inspire. That's why I do my work, is to inspire other people to do stuff. You know, because that's how I got inspired. I watched a lot of films. Oh, right, Mr. Valentino's watching. I do a lot of in my spare time when I'm not really doing anything. I get selective in my watching now, and I like to be inspired when I'm looking at something. It might kindle something up and something to start cooking, add to what I'm already thinking about. Who knows? But my work, I like to do inspirational work. You know, and that's why I got into what I'm doing. Is because of the inspiration. Because kids like to be inspired. And I was a child. I got inspired by a lot of stuff that I was looking at. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, Mr. Museum has asked me a very in-depth question here, and it has to do with what inspired me, and and what films have brought me to the point I'm at here. Well, yeah, I tell you, I watched a lot of films in my day, a lot of them. I can go to, like, for instance, I I started watching movies when I was a kid. One of the films that I watched that grabbed me, and I shouldn't have been looking at it, but I did. I was 8 years old. The Wild Bunch. I loved Sam Peckinpah's film. Bloody film. Of course, it was on TV and they cut it to death. But and that's something. I knew that this film was edited, especially for TV, because they said it. And that there made me want to look at the original cut. Now, back then, as a child, I didn't know what original cut meant. Uh, but it was in my mind. I wanted to see the whole film. That's how I would put it in my internalness. As I got older enough to understand what the director's cut and the original cut meant, then when I watched the film years later on HBO, the original cut, the director's cut of Sam Peckinpah's Wild Bunch, because I was inspired by the cowboy, the dirt, the dirtiness of these guys on horseback. Watching it 8 years old on TV, it wasn't. They didn't show you all the blood that was there, but you could still see him get shot a little bit, and it was fascinating. It was. I wouldn't say that it was real, but it was like visually surreal. It's like I'm there on set seeing these guys, go, and it was like, oh man, the way that they talked and all of that, it was inspiring because I'm young and where I was raised, semi-farm. It was like this was, it was very what that was one film. Another film was some of the Alfred Hitchcock films, North by Northwest. I'm watching Cary Grant, this old man, similar, trying to be a James Bond to me. That's how I saw it. I'm like watching him, and I'm watching. I'm looking at how Alfred Hitchcock put this film together, and I'm like, I'm fascinated that because it was like I knew what he was doing with this movie. Because I went to the libraries, I read about the Northwest text, what he was doing. I saw the miniature work that was in that film. I know most people probably went right by him when Cary Grant, that plane hit that tanker, and Cary Grant was walking away from it. I saw something there. It was some type of production trick going on there, and I was fascinated by it. I said, why did they do that? They could have shot that on the set, but I don't know if it was. I think it was a little bit of what you call. Oh, I know what it was. It was a front and rear projection going on there, uh, it was interesting, and it fascinated me when I saw Cary Grant walking away from that scene, and then the story itself was really simple. That was another inspiring things like he took something as benign as a misidentification of a person and made him into a spy. I'm like, wow, who could sit 2 hours through this and not see that? Then I watched a lot of HBO cinematic movies, B movies, because I was fascinated with Roger Corman's work. He was a B film director. He would take. That's where I get my text technicalities from. I would make a bunch of trash, bring it into the post production, put it and fix it. Roger Corman was the king of taking very little, putting it together, voila, and make a movie. His concept was every 15 minutes you make something happen. That's his concept. If you don't believe me, go read up Roger Corman. The man's probably in his late 90s. He might be, I'm not going to say he's dead, but he's an old dude now. Really, really old. I watched him and looked at his work quite a lot. Roger Corman. Yes, sir, Mr. Museum. Look up, Google Roger Corman. It wasn't for him, you wouldn't know. There wouldn't be no Jack Nicholson. A whole lot of stars come from the group of Roger Corman's work. Roger Corman made films with a lot of the people before they became movie stars. They worked with Roger Corman one way or another. You know, he took he done that man's a B movie magic maverick. That's the one. Yeah, yeah, and he's he's really inspiring to me, Roger Corman. There wouldn't be any real the independent world of filmmaking owes a great gratitude of work, thanks to Roger Corman. Whether they know it or not, they he kept he He brought about stuff in the 1960s and mid 50s, stuff that people wouldn't have never seen. I mean, his work is cheap. Be I wouldn't say they cheesy, but there was work in a day when in the days when there wasn't any real work going on. He kept them alive. He kept Hollywood alive. You know, in the B realm. I'm not talking about the A films. I'm talking about the B films. You know, he kept where he kept people going, and a lot of movie stars come from the Roger Corman, chaperone group. You know, Jack Nicholson for one. Jack made his early films with Roger Corman. I can't think of a whole bunch of others. I think Peter Fonda, but he didn't become a really great star. Um, but there was a lot of stars out. A lot of them. I read about them years ago. Um, well, let's see. Let me dissect your question again. What films that made me realize I could make movies? That was a combination of watching their work. Oh, one coming to mind. Mr. Charleston Heston. When I watched his work, uh, when he was on his downward spiral to making B films, starting with Planet of the Apes, Soylent Green, The Omega Man. You know, yes, The Omega Man is a movie he made back in the day, long before Will Smith made I Am Legend. Matter of fact, The Omega Man is based off the book called I Am Legend. I realized through that and meeting this guy named Kerry in school that I could make films. I could buy something like this right here and make my own movies. Now, mind you, realizing and putting something in production, there's a great time disparity there. I was still in school when I had known these films, Planet of the Apes, Soul and Green, The Omega Man. And I had met this guy named Kerry who had these film books that had every one of these movies I just mentioned to you in them. And I'm like, oh, these movies actually can be made. You know, because I wasn't in the state of mind of the Grease Monkey production. I didn't understand the concept of what I'm telling you right now. I recently just, came up with the word Grease Monkey production. But I didn't understand production, film production that at that time. But when I saw these magazines, these film magazines, and they behind the scenes production, and I said to him, "These movies can be made." And he said, check this out. He said, "Yeah." We were in school now. We were studying architectural work at that time. I had to be an architect because that's what I thought I was going to be. I don't know if I ever even told anybody this part of the story. I wanted to be an architect. Carrie is showing me a film magazine where you can get into film production. Now, realization set in there. Mind you, I have already seen these movies that I'm looking at in this magazine. Planet of the Apes, The Omega Man, Soil and Green, Charleston Heston's work. Did not know the man was on a downward spiral accepting B movie material to make movies. Now, he says, let me take you to my house on school break. He shows me a camera similar to this one here. I'm in this man's room. At this time, um, Star Wars had already been showing at that time. He takes me to his house. The people, Star Wars, I think at that time, those stormtroopers, they costumes or whatever was a fascination to kids or whatever. He had built a stormtrooper uniform out of record LPs and spray painted them white and whatever. You melt them and bend them and mold them. I am blown away. I'm looking at this man's stormtrooper uniform in his home. He puts on a film, a 3-minute reel, scenes that look like it come out of Star Wars, lasers shooting across the screen. miniatures of whatever was in the movie was in this little 8 millimeter film. Grant you, he didn't have the huge sets, but I'm watching a 3 minute reel, knowing that it is, in my mind, a film, in my mind, a production. I'm realizing film production right there. You made this, and I'm like, I'm stuck. I'm stuck. That's when I realized I can make movies. Took a long time to get to my first one. But like I said, Star Wars had already come out in 1977. 1979, I make my first movie. Voila, there we are. I'm RG. I had enjoyed this moment. I'm going to get off of here. And I'm going to say adios, as Mr. Tyler has said moments ago. And I thank you, Mr. Peace Museum, for asking questions. Yes. And I thank you. And I thank everybody that come here to see this. And I'll see you again on PromoCon RG Studios PromoCon number 11. I'll have more stuff, hopefully more inspiring stuff to talk to you about. Wait a minute. Let me see this. Okay, you can. I would. You have a YouTube. Contact me through the comments of one of the comments of YouTube. I'll send you my email stuff and my personal email. You can send it through me through there. That's what I'll do for you, Mr. Peace Museum. I'll send you my email. I'll place it on this one right here. Yeah, I'll put it on RG Studios promo content when I'm off of here. I'll put my email where you can send me information, material, whatever. You know, I'll send you my public email. You can do it through there. I'm RG. It's 5:56:46. I'm going to get off of here. It's been fun. You guys take care now. Okay?